What's the last 48 hours or so been like for you, Mark? How did you occupy your day yesterday?
It's been a blur, Don. It's it's fun, but as soon as you go to work, there's just so many decisions to make, and just talking to players and a lot of time on the phone. I've got over about 1,000 text messages, and I can't even get to those. And I feel so bad. There's been so many people who reached out to me, and a ton of phone calls. So it's a great question, but we're busy, putting a staff together, talking to our players. And again, just on the phone constantly with recruits. But I think I got to bed last night about 4, the night before that about 4:30, and then meetings early in the morning. So, yeah, it's been busy, but it's been fun. So I'm excited to be here.
And what's your timeline for hiring your staff? When do you think you'll have everybody in place?
We are moving as quick as we can, Don. But at the same time, these hires are just extremely important. So we're going to take our time, make sure we get the right people. I've always said, and one of the biggest reasons for the success I've had in the past, I've been fortunate to surround myself with good people, guys that love the game and that want to work hard and loyal to me as well. So we've got a short list, and we're going through that, but that's our first priority, along with just recruiting.
All right, let's go to Skylar with the Associated Press.
Hey, Mark, Skylar Dixon with the AP in Dallas. Congratulations.
Thank you.
On the gig. I have quite a bit of background back there. I was in San Angelo and Odessa the first 10 years of my professional career, so I know those routes pretty well. I was just wondering what brought you back to basketball, and I guess it was 2004 at Howard College, right?
Yes, our kids, my daughter and son had some, medical issues. My son is profoundly deaf, and he's got a great success story. But when they were 3 and 4 years old, we just felt like we need to get back to home where we had support. My wife's family's in Amarillo, of course mine's here in Brownfield and Lubbock. We just needed that family support. So more than anything, it was a family decision, and boy, I've missed basketball ever since. I mean, I love being in hockey. I was doing that for like 7 years, but even when I was in hockey, I was sneaking over to South Plains and trying to help Coach Green coach, and John Copeland at Lubbock Christian, and Todd Duncan at Trinity. Anybody that wanted me to come get on the floor and get guys in a defensive stance, that's what I wanted to do. So if anything, it just reminded me and just rejuvenated me that I just love basketball. I want to be a part of it. So I got my start at Howard College back as an assistant back in 79 and 80. So I went back to them again, leaned on them, said, hey, give me a job. And I was blessed and fortunate enough to get back into coaching. Once you get out, it's tough to get back in, and people told me that. So I owe a lot to Howard College.
Appreciate that.
You bet.
All right, let's go to Eric Kelly.
Coach, if I have it correct, the two guys already on your staff are Coach Peary and Coach Sutton. What about those two stood out to you and made it so those were guys that you wanted with you?
Well, I mean, first with Coach Sutton, that family name, one of the guys that I admire the most in my coaching career. Coach Myers was a big influence on my coaching. Also, Bob Knight, John Wooden. But Eddie Sutton was a guy I greatly admired. I'd love to go up and watch his guys practice. And even when Sean Sutton played, I was so impressed with him as point guard. And then we've been friends through the years. So loyalty, and we have a great relationship. So that's a no-brainer getting him back. And then Coach Peary's got great contacts across the country. Been a great head coach, associate head coach at Santa Clara. I met him the first time I met him, he was assistant coach at Utah. They were in talking to a couple of my guys that year. I had Jay Crowder on that team. So we developed a good relationship there, been friends ever since. In this business, it's just so important that you want to surround yourself with guys that believe in you and you believe in them. And so we've been talking for years about trying to get together and coach, and so timing's right. And I had to ask him just one time, and he was ready to come on board, and he sacrificed a head coaching job on a Division I level. He was very successful. So he's coming here because he believes in us and believes in this program. So we're fortunate to have him. You guys are going to love him. great guy, really sharp, great, excellent recruiter, and he knows how to win. I think you look back when in his junior college, he may have the best winning percentage in all junior college at Indian Hills and at College of Southern Idaho. So we're getting a great coach on the floor as well.
All right, let's go to Joe Yeager.
Yeah, Coach, your predecessor often spoke of positionless basketball as sort of a team concept. Is that something that you subscribe to, or are we going to see more clearly defined positional roles?
I'm a little confused. Who you talking about? I forgot his name. So, but
that's why I said his
predecessor. That's good. You know, I think that comes a lot, but from his coaching with Coach Knight. That's the way Coach Knight believed. He played that positions basketball, and we're going to do that as well. It's a great selling point with recruits because we have everybody playing every position. So we want guys that can, face the basket, dribble, pass, and shoot. And we'll continue some of that. But Joe, we're also going to have we're going to play faster, get down the floor. We'll have a little bit more purpose, I think, with our movement and what we're doing. Maybe a little more European style, but it'll be attacking type defense. But I learned a lot about the defense or the offense because of my defense. So things that bother us defensively, with angles and ball screens and ghost screens, and so we'll be doing a lot of those things the things that I hate guarding. So we'll implement that on the offensive end.
Then my last question. Obviously, you have deep roots in junior college basketball. And I was just wondering, do you think you may turn to that for recruiting purposes, maybe a little bit more than we've seen in the past? You make guys maybe hitting the JUCO ranks harder than in the past.
That's a good question. On this past staff I've been on, nearly everyone on that staff had JUCO experience, and so does, again, Coach Peary. My son's at a junior college right down the road, New Mexico Junior College, best friend over at South Plains. I'll use those relationships to help recruit, but at the same time, we're just going to go after the best players, whether it be overseas, whether it be junior college players, transfers in the portal. But we're wide open, and we're being as aggressive as we can to talk to all the coaches that I've known over the years, and we're a little bit behind here, but we've got some great names, and hopefully we'll be able to announce some of those soon.
Okay, let's go to Ben Golan. Ben, are you there? All right, we'll come back to you, Ben. All right, go ahead. Ben, your audio is a little bit messed up. Ben, can you maybe? All right, let's go to Phil Woodall. Ben, if you want to try to fix that. Phil?
Coach, you and I go back 30 plus years as your former broadcaster and friend for over 30 years.
Now, Phil, you start saying that, it dates both of us. So what? Stop it right there. But go ahead.
Yeah, we're old. One thing I've always thought was very important to you was integrity and personal responsibility. And I go back to a game that WT played against Angelo State at the Civic Center. You had suspended 3 players for violation of team rules. And I was begging you to let them play because we were going up against Tim Howard and Coach Ed Messbarger. And you said, no, I'm sticking to my guns, and dang if we didn't beat Angelo State. But talk about where you grab that integrity and personal responsibility throughout your life.
Yeah, I was just being a dumb, naive coach. I'd never do that again. So, I appreciate the question, Phil. We have been great friends. As a coach, you have to be consistent, and you guys have to know that you're going to put character and you're going to put the team first, and those rules are very important. We all agree to them, and I'm still that way. I'm here I want these guys to understand who I am, but we're going to play together. We're going to play hard. We're going to play for each other, but we have to respect each other, respect the game, and respect the rules. So that's never changed, and I think the guys embrace that, and it's been a great relationship with all my players. And even I get letters later in life thinking, Coach, I got one from Gerald Temple a few years back. He was one of those guys that actually kicked off the team, and he wrote me such a nice letter. He's coaching down in Galveston, but I think even if they don't appreciate it during the moment, they come back later and know that we're trying to do things that help them not only as a better player at the time, but a better person to cope with things in life.
And one other question. I remember we went down to UTEP to play, and you were wanting to coach Haskins, the Bear, and you were going to ask him, I don't know whether to shake his hand or ask for his autograph. Is there anybody in the coaching deal that you want to be that admiring of?
Yeah, he was a favorite of mine, Coach Haskins, and that was an honor to get to coach against him. We got so many coaches in this league. I may be thinking the same thing. We got a lot of Hall of Famers and guys that've been in the in Final Fours, and so just respect everybody. But and they've been great. So I've had a lot of phone calls and text messages welcoming me aboard. But certainly respect this league, and looking forward to the opportunity to get a chance to coach against these guys.
All right, let's go
Thank
to
you
Ryan
again
King.
very much, and congratulations.
Okay, thanks, Phil. Love you. Appreciate it.
Love you too.
All right, Ryan.
Coach, I know you've touched on it a couple times about wanting, whenever you talk to President Skubnik, Kirby Hocutt about getting the resources to get an elite assistant coaching staff. Were you the ones that brought that up to them? Did they bring up to you? How were those discussions to make sure the resources were there to be able to get the guys you wanted?
Yeah, another really good question. In this profession, we put a lot of emphasis on the coaching and the recruiting, but it all starts with resources. And you can go back and look at nearly every in every conference, in football, basketball, baseball, whatever it is, and the teams usually at the top consistently are those teams with the most resources. And so that means, money, support, guys that share the same vision. And we have to give Kirby a lot of credit, because he believed in us and believed in our vision. We asked for a lot of things, and he stepped up to the plate, and so did President Skubnik. So it starts with those guys and that leadership, because I've been on the other end when I've been in places where I didn't have that support, didn't have those resources, and it made it very difficult to win consistently.
And I just noticed a word you've used a couple times, both with players and administration, was loyalty. Where is that in your philosophy, as far as what you want to show, what you want to see from people you're bringing in? How do you see that in other people when you're trying to bring them in?
Yeah, well, you try to look at their history with some of these guys, and kind of it's a great character trait that's important to me, along with some others. But loyalty is huge, and that kind of goes with trust and believing in people. But I'm so loyal to this university. I love being here. I love West Texas. I grew up watching football and basketball and baseball and all at Texas Tech down at Brownfield, and those are my heroes growing up. And I'm so glad just to be here and to be able to have a bigger part, so I can give back to this university. I have my degree here. My kids graduated here, so I'm loyal to the university. And a lot of times when you're loyal to somebody, they're going to be loyal to you. So and the university showed huge loyalty by giving the opportunity just to be here in this position.
Okay, let's go to Nathan and Plainview.
Now that this is your program and you're kind of calling the shots, are there certain things you want to do and implement on court and off court when it comes to the program that you're already trying to do, or is that something you're going to kind of figure out as you go?
Nathan, I've always enjoyed being in a leadership position, been a head coach 25 years, so I like calling the shots. I like to be the guy in charge. And, yeah, the last 5 years, Chris and I were, great friends, but, yeah, we butted heads some, because I've got a strong personality. I believe in winning, and I was fortunate enough that he listened to me a lot of the time. He wasn't smart enough to listen to me all the time, but he did let me run the defense, and I did the substitutions, and had a lot of input at halftime and for the game with the game plan, scouting report. So it's not going to be a big adjustment for me, because I'm used to being in that role, and the Big 12. And I know I know exactly all these coaches that have been there. We've got a new coach at Oklahoma, but we'll study those guys. We understand what their weaknesses and strengths are, and so I'm fortunate to being here as assistant coach right next to Coach Beard. we're going to be ready to go. But yeah, I'm going to do things quite differently, and you'll see a different style of basketball than what you saw the last 5 years. But it'll start with defense. Yeah.
And anytime there's a change for a head coach, there's usually some player movement, but you're just kind of being elevated into the head coach. You're already in the program. How have the conversations gone with the players that you're hoping will come back, or ones that you're hoping to retain?
Yeah, it's been very positive. I've got a great relationship with these guys, and they've shown that by just wanting to come back and be a part of what I believe in. And so at this point, we had no one that says no to us. We've got a couple of guys that are still thinking about possibilities, but we've got a commitment from Kyler Edwards to be back, Kevin Mccullar, and then we also have Marcus, who's coming back. Agbo's also coming back as well. Clarence. I'm going to talk to JB today. To also going to visit with Micah again this afternoon. And even T.G. Shannon, we're hopeful. We got our fingers crossed. We wish him the very best. I think he's going to announce today his intentions to go ahead and get in the draft. But if things don't work out there, he's already committed to coming back and being part of our team next year.
Okay, let's go to Greg Sherman.
Mark, first off, congratulations. I remember all those long bus rides to Nimmy and to Clarendon. I happened to go through my closet, found this morning, the national championship shirt. Jay Crowder's on there. So are you. First off, Luke Adams, obviously your son, is he going to stay in New Mexico, or are you going to try to bring him over to back to Lubbock?
Yeah, hey, good seeing you, Greg. Yeah, those are great memories back at Howard College and where my roots are and when I started. And those long bus rides, they build a lot of character and what you're doing. And I sure appreciate those players that made that commitment back then. But Luke is he's going to stay at New Mexico Junior College. That's where he needs to be. He's been a huge influence here the last few years. We talk all the time. I tell people, he texts me at halftime and tells me how to coach, what we're doing wrong. And I don't know if I could take him. He'd end up thinking he's the head coach and want to sit in my chair. But he's got a great basketball mind, excellent recruiter. He's doing a wonderful job there at New Mexico Junior College. So he's going to help us right there just by helping us get players for the next year. He's got a couple of guys already that I think are high Division I guys. So he's a loyal Texas Tech fan and played here at Texas Tech and obviously loyal to his dad. So he's been up here helping the last few days, just talking about recruiting and different players and also our staff. So he's been invaluable to me. Love my son and so proud of him.
Well, at least I know Luke hasn't changed since he was in high school and he was texting you at halftime all those Howard games.
Yeah.
Those long bus rides up to Clarendon, out to the Cahoon Armory out in Roswell and all those areas. How did all those kind of help shape you? Because you coached a lot of great players, Jay Crowder, Carlos Emery, among those. And how did that help you on the journey that now gets you to back to the head coaching chair?
Well, I think it all gives you a chip on the shoulder. You want to, you have tremendous sacrifice. All those guys, some of them was, didn't get a chance to go Division I. Some were transfers trying to get back to Division I. So we were all hungry and all wanting to improve ourselves. And so, I think the biggest thing, it just gave them some motivation to get to that next level. And when you're, eating those cheeseburgers that are cold on the road or pizza and those long bus rides, those guys, it builds some character. And there's some great players, and some of those guys have gone on. And I think I had 75 or so Division I players at Howard College, and all of them went on to do well. And I wouldn't be here without those guys.
Finally, Kevin Mccullar is a guy that I got to cover here in San Antonio. Just a thought on him and how he has grown and has helped continue to get Texas Tech higher and higher in the standings and deeper into the tournament.
Yeah, Kevin's been wonderful. You remember he had an injury that a little bit of a setback, and so when he came to Texas Tech, he sat out that one semester, and he's just gotten better and better. But one of our best defensive players, got a great attitude, plays extremely hard. And I think one of his best strengths is he's got a high basketball IQ. He knows what to do. Very smart kid and easy to coach, loves to be coached, and one of our best players.
Mark, congratulations. congratulations. Look forward to seeing you when Tech plays in Austin next season.
Okay, good seeing you. Thanks, Craig.
All right, Ben Golan, is audio better?
Can you hear me, Coach?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, can.
Yeah. Jalen Tyson, your lone high school signee, have you had a chance to talk to him and kind of what's his status as we move forward?
Yes, I have visited with him on several occasions and his family, and at this time, I think he's going to go ahead and get in the portal, and he has not ruled out coming back to Texas Tech. I just think he wants to look at some other options as well. So we'll have to re-recruit him. I had a great conversation with his dad yesterday, and like I told the family, is that we want what's best for them. You know, if Texas Tech isn't a great fit, then we understand that. We want to support him any way we can. At the same time, his family just said that they love Texas Tech. They appreciate the social media support, the fan support, and they were still considering coming back, but wanted to talk to some other schools.
All right, let's go to David Collier.
Hey, Coach. Apologize if you covered this a little bit earlier, but could you tell us your connection with Barrett? Obviously, he's spent quite a bit of time in the junior college ranks, but how you came across him and chose him as one of the assistants?
Yeah, David, good to see you. I think the first time I met Coach Perry was at Howard College back in I think it's 2008 or 9, just recruiting some of our guys when he was the assistant coach at Utah. And then we just became friends, just a lot of things in common, and I respected his type of person he is. He has great attitude, and he worked extremely hard. I tell you what, he was calling me every day, and he was just very thorough. I was just really impressed with him as a recruiter. So it started that way professionally, and that we just become really good friends over the last 10 years, 12 years.
And as far as his style, are you looking at both the offense and the defense, or which one?
I doubt
attracted you to him?
You know, Coach Perry, he's known for his full court pressing, and he plays maybe a little bit too fast for me at times. But what we do have in common is we both play very aggressive. He has tough teams. We recruit similar type players, great athletes, and guys that have a high motor. So we fit together as far as that goes. But I'll use him some on the offensive end. He's got a great basketball mind and been around a lot of great coaches as well.
Have you had a chance to talk to Coach Green? I know you guys had plenty of battles against each other. Is he somebody that you would pick the brain of, and maybe use him as well as a guy that maybe you could find some players from the junior college ranks?
Not really, David. So, no, I love Coach Green. He was in my wedding, so we go way, way back, and great offensive mind. He's respected all across the country. He may win his fourth championship coming up here in a couple of weeks. He's got a couple of guys injured. We talk daily, and yeah, but he's a guy that we may put on staff, but have great respect for him and his knowledge of basketball, and I've known him for 35, 40 years. So he'd be a guy that I think could make a positive contribution if he came on board.
All right, let's go to
And
Jared Johnson.
I think last one for me, I mean, I know you talked about wanting to get everything filled in as quick as possible. As far as like strength and conditioning and stuff like that, are there people on campus that you might go with, or are you still trying to maybe talk other people into coming back, or what's the status with a guy like that? I know that's got to be a huge
It
part of your
is.
stats.
And you can look at my physique, and you'd think I'm probably an expert in that position. But that is a big a role to fill with losing John Riley. But we've got some great candidates. I mean, I was surprised at some of the candidates that have come to us. So we're gonna put someone in that position that's going to be really, really good, because that's one of the positions that I think is most important, other than the recruiting on our staff. And we've got a great facility off the Womble, 5,000 square foot weight room, and so we'll be able to recruit a great staff member there in the strength and conditioning position.
All right, let's go over to Jarrett. Jarrett Johnson.
Hey, Coach, how you doing?
Good, good.
Hey, I wanted to ask, I know you touched on some of the players and their status, but specifically Mccullar, where is he at?
Well, actually, he's en route out here. He'll be here later today. But where he's at mentally right now, we're going to talk about that. We had great conversation a couple of days ago. You know, we've got to just sit down and talk about what his expectations are and where he wants to be. But we're in conversation with him now about him coming back.
And then I know your roster's kind of in flux, guys figuring things out, but in terms of recruiting, do you know what you're looking for? Are you looking for some bigs? You looking for some quick guards? Just what are you looking for in the portal right now?
Yeah, we take all of those. That's a great idea. Love to have them. So, yeah, we want athleticism. We'd love to have size. Obviously, you need a skill set to play at this level. Guys that you look at need to be able to play on the next level, NBA, or at least pro basketballs. So we're trying to find some three-point shooters, shot blockers, rebounders. We need about 3 or 4 to add with what we have.
And then can you give us an idea of your background as a recruiter? That's something people have asked me a lot. Which is, what is your, obviously you have a lot of experience, but what is your background as a recruiter?
You know, I think the most positive thing I can tell you about my background recruiting is that I can recruit to West Texas. I've had winning teams at Clarendon, at Howard College, then at Wayland Baptist and West Texas A&M, really good teams that competed on the national level. So to be able to sell players to this area is probably my forte there, and just love this area. And because I love it so much, it's just easy to talk about West Texas and the people out here and the opportunity to play in our facility and for you know, a good coaching staff, and so those are, you know, I've just had success everywhere. I wish I could give all my credit to the coaching because I've had a lot of wins, but as you all know, it comes back to players.
Thanks, Coach, and congratulations.
Thank you.
Okay, let's go to Pete Christie.
Hey, Pete.
Hey, Coach, congrats.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. Thank you.
I want to know, did the former coach call you or text you after you got the Red Raider head job?
You know, he did call me afterwards, and you know, and he recruited me as hard as anybody to go down to Texas, and we you know, wanted me to get on that plane with him, and well, you know, I told, first of all, he gave me a middle seat and wanted me to wear orange, and I didn't want to do either one of those. So, but you know, Texas Tech is where I want to be. Coach knew that, and respected that, but made a real hard push, which I appreciate. I was flattered by that, but I wanted to stay here, and it was a little bit of a risk. Even though it was a long shot, I wanted to take that chance to be the next head coach, and obviously it worked out. But he did call me the next day and had a lot of nice things to say, and I appreciate that phone call.
And how about all the former players coming out on your behalf, how you impacted them, and they knew you were the right guy for the job?
Yeah, that meant so much to me. A little surprised, as hard as I am on defense with some of these guys, that they'd still believe in me. But, you know, that was so special. That Elite Eight year and the Final Four, those are some great kids, great character guys. They wanted to be coached. They loved basketball, and to have them come out and endorse me, it just brought tears to my eyes. I just really appreciated their endorsement.
Well, Coach, you know, Jarrett Culver was a Red Raider. You know West Texas. There are a lot of good kids here. Are you going to look at some of the great shooters and kids available here in West Texas?
Yeah, Pete, no doubt. Anybody sees any more Jarrett Culvers out there, please let me know. I'll be at their doorsteps. And in fact, I was the first one to go see Jarrett Culver when we got back in town from our after leaving Little Rock at UNLV. But yeah, what a great player Jarrett Culver was. And, you know, we want to get the very best players that we can. You have to keep those best players at home at Texas Tech. We've got some guys at Amarillo we're looking at, but Abilene, Midland, even in eastern or western New Mexico, or eastern Mexico rather, we're looking at guys at Clovis, Hobbs. So some of the junior colleges, we got to take advantage of those as well. But you got to make sure those good players stay at home. And there's a few guys out there that we think could play on this level. So we're definitely going to make sure we get those guys.
Last question. What is your message to the Red Raider fans who are hopefully going to be back in full force for the next season?
Pete, they told me this morning that there's already a longer waiting list, and there's another 300 or 400 season ticket holders that have already called in and made a commitment. That just means so much to me, and I wouldn't be here without these West Texas fans that came out of the woodwork and called and texted, and it's so humbling. But I'm appreciative, and I'm committed to these guys. I told them they could count on me, and they can. And we want the Red Bird fans, just be them. Keep being loud, come to the games, and we've got the best home court advantage in the country, and I think it's even going to get better. So we're here to not only just maintain, we're going to build this thing.
Hey, loyalty pays off. Congrats,
Well,
Coach.
it does. Thank you, Pete.
Okay. Don Williams, do you have one more question? Close us out.
Hey, Mark, you mentioned a moment ago, or several moments ago, you said John Wooden was one of your influences. Can you elaborate on that?
I've just watched his teams and how he coached Don, and he'd made several comments about, one was winning's a byproduct. It's how you do things. If you do take care of business, get your kids to play hard, get the right character type guys with good habits, that winning's going to take care of itself. And sometimes we put too much emphasis on the winning, but if you're working hard, you have a process, a good environment, then you're going to win. And I've always felt that way. But John Wooden was he was a godly man. He's a guy that everybody loved to bring around. He didn't yell and scream at his guys, but a great motivator and very consistent, and just a guy that I think everybody in the country looked up as a coach, and I did that as well. Read a lot of his books. He was a guy about detail. I tell everybody's heard this from other stories, but the first time I heard him speak, he spent about 10 minutes on how to tie your shoes. And put on your socks. He said your feet are the most important part of the body. So that's just John Wooden. He simplified everything, and he was big into detail as well.
Okay, Eric Kelly has one more question.
Go ahead, Don.
Can you real quick? How long did it take? How long did you have to make the decision whether to stay or whether to go to Austin?
Wow. Coach Beard called me over to his house that morning, and we visited. He said he'd made the decision. I think that was Thursday morning. We had that team meeting within like 20 minutes, and then right after that we talked again, and then they were getting on the plane. So we're talking maybe an hour and a half or so. That then I told him at that second meeting that I wanted to stay, and Lubbock's where I wanted to be.
Eric Kelly, close us out.
I'm curious, not to date you too much, but you've been coaching, these 18 through 22-year-old types for a long time. How do you relate to kids nowadays versus how have they kind of changed over that time period? How do you continue to relate to those types of kids as they change and you go millennials, Gen Zs, all those things?
Well, I tell you what has changed is these young men have so many people in their inner circle now. I mean, they've got agents, not just their family. They got handlers and AAU coaches, and so they got so many guys in their ear that it is challenge for all of us across the country in coaching these young men. So it starts that you got to build those relationships. Relationships take time. They got to know you care about them. There's got to be a trust there. Because again, we've empowered these kids so much with these transfer portals that if they don't like, they don't like the coach, they don't like the position they're playing, the minutes they're getting played, the style of play, then they've got options and they go somewhere immediately. So relationships is even more important than it's ever been, and so I'm big on talking to these guys, being transparent, telling them always what I think, and getting these guys to know, more importantly, that I believe in them and who they're about and what they're doing and where we're going, and so I've done that my whole life, but I think it's even more important now.
Good job. Should we allow David Collier to ask one more question?
David's wearing me out. Okay, one more, David.
One more, Coach. We've talked about all the people that maybe you've contacted or had contact with since you got the job. Have you heard from any former Cotton Kings, and can we maybe get a Cotton King night at the USA?
you know, a lot of these guys don't know who the Cotton Kings are, David. So but you're a little bit maybe a hockey fan. Pete might know, but and I guess so would Phil. We had the Amarillo Rattlers. I owned that team for a while. Had a great has a great experience. I'll still be in a restaurant and someone will come up and I think they're going to talk about basketball and they'll recognize me, you know, with the Cotton Kings and wish they were still here and we had such a loyal fan base. But I'll invite them to come over and start watching basketball. But they were a rowdy crowd. They loved hockey and they'd make great basketball fans.
Thank you guys for the coverage.
Hey, Coach, are you still going to have candy in your office?
Yeah, I am. I may even upgrade a little bit. But anyway, I can get those guys to come in and watch film with me. I'll do whatever it takes, Phil. Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. God bless y'all.